Welcome to New Friends Cinema,
where we get to know each other by sharing our favorite movies.
From childhood throwbacks to recent comforts, we walk through the stories together.
Keep in mind this podcast contains mad spoilers, and join us at the New Friends Cinema.
Hello and welcome back to New Friends Cinema. I'm Dakota.
And I'm hungry.
Just kidding. I've been saving that.
I am perpetually hungry, but I also have the ick at the moment because I don't want to finish the food we got for breakfast. A state of being that I'm most often in. Just, yes, and.
And she's also Courtney.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Courtney. Hi.
About this. Sometimes first thing in the morning, too many flavors. It's too much. Too many different flavors.
Yeah.
She had a chocolate croissant and a breakfast sandwich that had like egg and tomato in it.
Yeah.
She had half of each. Seemed like a great idea at the time. Halfway through, it was like chocolate and egg. I don't know. Honestly, I love Dwayne Johnson.
He is a stand-up guy. And there was like this clip going around of him asking Drew Barrymore consent before he lifts her up or something.
Yeah. Even, and it was her bit, and he still was like, not just asking consent. He's like, I'm going to touch you here and do this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like,
it was
very specific,
very professional, very consensual.
King. We love it.
Yeah, that was
also
refreshing.
Prob and I, last weekend, we watched Doom for the first time.
Like
the Doom, OOM. Like the old one.
Like the 2004
It was like 2003, yeah. Because it was pretty soon after Scorpion King, which was his like first main role.
And he wasn't really in it. It was mainly like CGI.
Yeah, but it was like his first like title role, and so Doom was not long after that. That movie was awesome, though. Because I was like, I feel like we've seen this before. They did a remake in like 2016.
Probably.
We saw the remake, and it was horrible.
Really?
We hated it.
Oh.
But we watched, and we were like, what the fuck is going on? But the original was so good.
Have you played any of the Doom?
No, but I loved the end, how then you go into your POV.
Yes!
First-person shooter. It's awesome. And the main guy, he's from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's like
the writer of Rohan or something.
Yeah, Eowyn's brother.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
Is he? It's very surreal, because you don't really clock him, but you're like, oh yeah.
Because you're used to him having like long blonde hair, but in real life it's like short brown.
Yeah. Oh, he's in The Boys.
No, I haven't seen that.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was so fucking good. We loved it. We were like, woohoo! You know, I love a movie like that.
Because it's straight up action.
Rosalind Pike, too, and she's fucking amazing. Rosamund? Yeah.
Rosamund? Yes. Isn't that Gone Girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's in the TV show of,
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time, yeah.
Yes. Oh. Anyways, you should definitely play Doom, the 2018 latest one. There's lots of patches and DLCs.
Oh, really? So I could get it on my...
Oh, yes. It is a fever dream of alien violent gun-toting.
I loved how it like started, and it was like, it's like sci-fi, but it's like how it's like apes, like how it's like humanoids on Mars kind of thing. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like having sci-fi with an archaeological spin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Stargate, right?
Stargate, yes. Another flashback.
It bums me out that James Spader is such a creep. Because he was giving cute nerd in Stargate. Honestly, Stargate, like the plot is pretty much exactly like the cartoon Atlantis.
It is.
Like the first probably 30 to 40 minutes is like scene for scene.
I'm agreeing with you, but I don't think I've ever seen the movie Atlantis.
Oh, it's in my hat.
Oh.
The cartoon?
Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
I've heard that's like a sexual awakening for so many kids at the time.
There's like so many
two different hotties, like bisexual panic all the time, just being like, what is happening
There's
in this movie?
More than two hotties, but yeah.
Love it. Anyways.
Hi. Hi. Hot coffee is doing everything I need and more. You were up last night. I was up late too. I closed my iPad at 2 a.m. last night.
Oh, we were both burning that midnight oil.
Midnight
Midnight oil. for unhealthy reasons.
I told Prob it was like 1 o'clock and he was like, he had been asleep and he woke up and I was like, I know that I should go to sleep, but I want to stay up all night and I know I'm going to regret it and I don't care.
It's that moment when you're blinking your eyes and they feel like sandpaper, but you're like, I don't want to go to bed. You can't make me go to bed. I'm an adult now. Well, this week's movie is kind of fun because at the end of last week's episode, I was pretty sure I've seen it. Mm-hmm. And as we were starting the movie, I was like, I've definitely not seen this movie.
And it's not even in the same league as Jurassic Park at all. But I did clock how it's not even kind of the same. But the beginning starts without the music, just the sound of the scene.
Yeah.
It starts with the windshield wipers. Like in Jurassic Park, it just started with the yeah. So that's the only, actually no, sorry, I just got really excited because, okay. So this week we're watching Secret Window.
Yes.
The 2004 Johnny Depp movie. It's based on a short story written by Stephen King that came out in 1990. It was a short story in a book called 4 Past Midnight. It was directed by David Kopp. Does that name sound familiar to you at all?
David Kopp. Mm-hmm. Besides being a pretty generic name? No.
So he has directed 7 movies, but he's far more well known for his screenplay writing. He wrote the Jurassic Park screenplay.
He did not.
He wrote Jurassic Park 1 and 2 and the most recent ones. Yeah.
Wow.
He also wrote the 2002 Spider-Man, War of the Worlds, Angels and Demons, The Mummy. I mean, he's adapting all of these from books, right?
Yeah. And
but
that's a talent.
It's a lot of changes, right? Picking and So when I saw that, I was like, what?
Another little continuity thing.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah. We were predicting the future for a bit there. Yeah.
How random is that?
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
So this is one of the movies he's directed.
Or Hollywood's just really small. Like, that's
also likely. It's actually not random
it's
at
like,
all.
we're prophetic.
No, there's
Hollywood's really small.
3 people running it.
Yeah. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, this is a little bit maybe out of left field as far as like the other things that you've heard from me. Mm-hmm. But this is an equally large side of things that I love.
The reveal. You love a good reveal movie.
I love a reveal.
Yeah. The suspense of like what is happening to them. Because it was like the whodunit. That's all I
love when everything just comes together in the last 5 minutes.
Yes. That's exactly what happened in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
This movie differs greatly from the book.
Interesting. Or the short story, right?
The short story, yeah. So, we're gonna walk through the movie, and then at the end, I'll take a minute to just talk about where and how it's different.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, very different. Weirdly hard to find exactly what, I've never read the book. So I'm like trying to fucking Google just like how it's different. Everyone online is saying, oh, it differed so much. The book ending is better or the movie ending is better or whatever. And I'm like, what was the other ending?
Yeah. Spell it out for me,
so
please.
Fucking hard to find. I was trying to watch 2 different YouTube videos I turned off because they were too boring. I read multiple old blogs just to find it. People alluded to it, but it's like, no, I don't want to read it myself.
Just tell me.
Just fucking tell me. So I figured it mostly out. I think I did. I pulled up like I said, I searched out the screenplay because there's like whispering happening and I'm like, they've alluded to this before and how do these things connect? What is this other layer that I'm missing? Yes. So I was like full sleuth mode.
Love it.
Trying to solve it. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. So we'll see about that at the end.
Walk me through it. Well, first of all, wait, before we get into it, why this movie?
2004?
Yeah.
I would have been like 12 or 13.
I always track it by like, when did I graduate high school? Subtract that, carry the 1.
Yeah. I would have been 12 or 13. So it was like just starting to really have a lot of sleepovers and stuff. Yeah. And just starting to be introduced to other kind of scarier movies and things that I wasn't necessarily allowed to rent at home and things like that. I don't remember where I was the first time I saw this movie, but I remember how I felt the first time I saw this movie.
Love it.
And yes, you, an adult woman in your 30s, instantly figured out what was going to happen. Of course.
Yes.
me, a 12-year-old tween, seeing like a scary movie for the first time, had no idea what was going to happen.
You were on the edge of your seat the whole time. Like, what is going on?
It blew my fucking mind. It blew my mind. That build and that pressure.
Yeah.
And the way that I feel watching it, that's never gone away, right?
No.
Like, it's just, so it's one that we return to a lot at sleepovers. I've seen it, I know I've seen it a lot with my sister. I called my dad yesterday to ask him to rent it because I use his Amazon.
Who doesn't share accounts, honestly?
He was like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. I remember the covers. Up close Johnny Depp with the reflective glasses. He's like, I remember the cover of the DVD. So obviously we, like, my sister and I watched it a lot. So maybe when I was saying, and you can watch it too, he was like, yeah. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
I've seen it 12 times.
Shout out to my father.
Hello, father.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Also, Alexis and Kelsey, those are my two girlfriends that I definitely would have probably at different, like, at Alexis's house for sure, and with Kelsey for sure. I know that I watched it.
That's so cute that you have this, it's like a thread. It's a thread with this movie that connects you to specific people.
Yeah.
And you can go back in time and be, you know, however age, in your comfy cozies, sleepover style, giggling, and then having, like, holding your breath, and you just have those connections with those people. I find that's just so, that's the essence of this podcast, right? Is to, like, get to know each other and why this movie was
and really,
so
like,
crucial.
Bearing down on those connections too, right?
Yeah.
Like, seeing, like, I wouldn't think about that ever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so I'm super stoked to talk about this movie. First of all, this movie is starring Johnny Depp, playing the character Morty. John Turturro plays John Shooter. Maria Bello, Amy Rainey.
Oh, that's a Amy Rainey.
That's good. That's cute.
Amy Rainey.
Timothy Hutton, Ted Milner, Charles S. Dutton, Ken Karsh. Those are the ones that I wrote down. So, as I said before, the movie opens with the sound of windshield wipers going hard. Black screen. Then we see Mort, Johnny Depp, sitting in his vehicle in the snow with the wipers wilding. He's staring hard at something. He's got his tooth pulled down and he's like, he is mugging, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this, you can really see into this man's experience right now through his eyes. He is wide-eyed, but also he's just, like, so fucking dialed in.
Yeah, this is something I read a lot online over and over when I was doing my research. This movie came out in 2004. That's 1 year after Pirates of the Caribbean.
The first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
This movie's release date actually got pushed up a year to ride on the coattails of the success of Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
As if. Interesting.
So this was also a time where I would say that, and a lot of people online would say that Johnny Depp was still considered quite a serious actor, good character actor, and he was playing a lot more diverse characters. Once the fame of, like, the success of Pirates of the Caribbean and the reprisal of Jack Sparrow really kind of sunk in, he became really typecasted as being that very specifically, like, goofy, oddball. You know, him and Tim Burton really did that though, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a really interesting time, I think, in his career that this movie came out. And it's kind of a bridge between old school 90s Johnny Depp that was doing a lot of more serious characters.
Like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, and like Benny and June and different, you know, different kinds of characters.
Like deep, broody, for sure.
And new century Johnny Depp where he's doing caricatures.
Yes.
Right? So I just found that an interesting take online. So I do think in this movie we get to see some of his real chops, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Then a voice, it's his own voice in his head, right?
Yeah.
It's not another voice, but you know, it's his voice. In his head is telling him to turn the car around and go. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, at this moment I was like, this whole movie's gonna be Johnny Depp just talking to himself. Yeah. Spoiler alert. But also, I just wanted to totally derail this. Did you know that some people don't have an inner monologue?
Yeah. I've heard that.
That blows my mind.
I mean, I talk to myself out loud.
Oh yeah, out loud, in loud.
But you think you're like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. What's this? What's going on?
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
some people just don't have that.
But you don't hear it. Right?
Oh, I hear it.
What?
I can hear myself thinking. And it's like an internal conversation with that voice of like me narrating what I'm doing.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I have that.
Different flavors, of course. But there's, for some people, it's just quiet. I'm like, wow. What is
Must
that
be
like?
nice.
Must be nice.
Must be fucking real nice.
Yeah. But the scene really reminded me how he's like, don't turn around. Don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, relate. That's just.
Yeah, sure.
Never alone. I'm never alone.
Yeah, everybody's invited to this party.
Yeah.
So he starts driving away. The voice in his head says not to go back. And he just drives the car in reverse all the way up to this building. It's a motel. He walks into the lobby. There's no one there. He grabs a room key. He's very
dialed.
Eyes down, doing this, right? And you can feel him defying himself as he's doing this, you know?
Yeah, good way of putting it.
Like, it's very, no, I'm fucking doing this.
Yeah.
So then he drives over to a corner room and he goes in. There's a man and a woman naked in bed, sleeping. The noise gets really ambient.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wah, wah, wah. Like, it's kind of loud, just white noise-ish.
Yeah.
So you can't hear, you can see them screaming and like freaking out. You see the scene, but you can't hear. And then you can only hear him screaming in her face. But even that is kind of washed out.
The whole sensory experience of this scene, and it unfolds throughout the movie too with flashbacks and whatnot, but the headlights of the Jeep are also like pointing directly into this motel room.
Yeah.
So it's this like very sharp, like bright, so your eyes are really trying to focus on something because it's so bright and there's yelling and the scenes are like getting cut from here and there. Mm-hmm. It's just like really disorienting right now watching this.
Mm-hmm. So now the opening credits start.
Mm-hmm.
The camera's moving across a lake to a secluded cabin. The camera comes up the cabin through a top window and we see that it's a pretty nice place.
How much do you think that goes for? Waterfront?
I don't know. It's in Quebec.
Oh, obviously different provincial housing market prices, but that's like easily millions of dollars.
Today in BC? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Million. Like that, sure. I was like, damn, that's a really nice place.
He also has that gorgeous house. But he's a pretty successful author. We're going to find out. Also, this is set in New York State.
Yeah.
Right? This whole movie's set in New York.
So, the Quebec thing kind of tracks.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the right place to film, I feel like, for the vibe.
Yeah. They found that cabin, was like, this is it.
I'm going to make a movie here.
I think I'm going to make a movie here.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of movie.
Do you ever do that, though, if you're, like, driving or something or somewhere, and you think, like, I could see a movie or like a scene of a movie or
right here,
this visual if a camera came down like this or whatever.
Are we in the wrong profession? Should we be scouting?
I took one of those career aptitude tests in high school.
Yeah.
My top 2 professions that I should be were cinematographer and hot air balloonist. I shit you not.
As if hot air balloonist was like a career.
Like a real career path you could.
What characteristic or trait indicates that you would be a good hot balloon air pilot? I'm not afraid of heights.
That's crazy. I'm totally afraid of heights. I'm very afraid of heights.
Oh, that's great. But like, that tracks that because you have an eye for checking like, ooh, this is the way the scene could look here.
Yeah.
I think therapist and counselor was always in my top 3.
Yeah.
Like from the get-go. Yay, childhood trauma, like setting that career path from the very beginning.
You're a helper.
I'm a helper.
Yeah.
I learned how to do that in a sustainable way.
Mm-hmm. We need more people like that.
Yeah.
It takes a very special kind of person to do what you do.
Stop, please.
No, I mean like special.
Oh, yeah, it's weird up here. Pointing to my head.
Special kind of very specific set of skills.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, where am I? So yeah, we see that it's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
There's a cute little doggo sleeping, a writing desk. Mort is sleeping on the couch in the middle of the day, wearing a torn up, ratty house coat.
Yeah, real ratty.
This is 6 months after the altercation at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is banging on the door, rattling the handle, banging on the door, trying to get in. He wakes up suddenly, goes to the door. It is a southern man in a black hat. This is John Turturro.
Yeah, Turturro.
I'm not gonna worry about it too much. All I will say is he's fucking great.
He is quiet, menacing.
But usually you see him in nice, fun characters. Like, he's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, and I think he's in some Coen Brother movies too.
Yeah.
But he's got this really interesting range where at a drop of a dime.
Was he Jesus in The Big Lebowski?
I know he's in Oh Brother Where Art Thou for sure.
Yeah.
But he can play this like kind of vacant, doofy character and then really on like a drop of a dime be this like dead-eyed.
He's kind of cute. He is totally Jesus in The Big Lebowski. That is so funny. The tongue. When he licks the ball.
Oh, yeah.
He's like a big piece of bowler wearing all purple. Totally fun.
I just imagine him as just Jesus with long hair and, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Deeds, he was like the heir to the fortune.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
But range, right? Like, this guy can have like
range.
some really, really intense scenes, but from like a vulnerable, vacant kind of dumb doofy to obviously this person in this movie is
he's fucking scary, and he rarely raises his voice.
Oh, and that southern drawl.
He does a lot of alluding to things rather than specifically like threatening.
Yeah.
He's got a large frame, especially compared to Johnny Depp, right? Yeah. Like, so it's just very like...
And he's wearing this like pretty intense, kind of
it's
pilgrim
huge.
Style hat.
It's a huge hat.
It's a huge hat. The brim is at least like 4 inches all the way around. And it's like, I'm going to take up space, and this hat is a giant metaphor for that.
For sure.
Be intimidated by my hat.
So Mort opens the door, and the man immediately says, "You stole my story." I'm going to take all of the fear out of this.
You stole my story.
Yeah. Okay. That was pretty good.
Thank you.
But we all know my accent, like, abilities.
It's so bad, it's good.
Mort has no fucking clue who this guy is.
No.
But he's like, I don't care if you know or don't know who I am. Yeah. I know you, and I know that you stole my story. Mort's dog walks out the door, walks straight by this guy.
Yeah.
Isn't concerned by him at all. He's telling him, don't go to the cops, don't bring any third party in, this is between us. You stole my story, and you need to make it right.
And Johnny Depp's, again, I always just refer to the real name, Mort. Mort's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, I didn't steal your story. Who are you? I don't care.
He's not taking it seriously, really.
No.
He's shook that this guy showed up at his house, but he's like, as far as I'm concerned, this is already dealt with, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't steal it.
I was just imagining if like someone came up to my place and it's like, you stole my story. And in my head, I'm like, oh, immediately, I'm so sorry. What can I do? How can I rewrite that? Do you want money? I can give you money. Here, take my house, please.
How can I make this right?
Please.
For you.
Here, I'll just, how about I lie down and you
Do you want me to bend over?
Yeah. Okay, just go ahead. It's fine. I'm so sorry. the audacity to be like, fuck you, man. I didn't take your story. And people pleasers are just like, is that how you do that?
Oh my god, the fact that you would even accuse me of that. The fact that I would ever even give you, like, an idea that I might have, even if I didn't.
Yeah. I'm just like, yes, that is reality. I took your story. Please hurt me.
He watches this man get back into his car, and he clocks that his license plate is from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
He had gone back inside, like he had closed the door in this guy's face, basically. He goes back out onto his porch after he leaves, and he sees that the man left the manuscript under a rock on his porch. It's a story called Sowing Season by John Shooter. Mort immediately throws it in the trash.
Doesn't think twice. He's like, fucking weirdo.
Yeah. He's a pretty successful author, as we've said. Mm-hmm. And as we go into the movie, we'll also see that he does have experience with people with crazy fans and stuff like that in the past. So he's like, been here before in a way, kind of thing.
Brushes it off.
Feels a little different, but isn't thinking too much of it at the moment. So he washes his hands and lays back on the couch to go back to sleep. His hair in this movie,
I have a note about it, but continue.
His bedhead, I don't have any pictures around right now. My hair looked like this.
I swear to God,
when I
was
a
little haircut right now.
You do have his haircut right now, yeah. But when I was a little kid, there's a specific picture I'm thinking
where it's just
of.
Like
always it was
in
sticking
the back.
out. My mom called it a rat's nest.
Oh
yeah. And so I just really relate hard to that bedhead.
Yes. And it's like this really interesting, and it's probably in the short story, of course, but like we really get to glimpse at this character and be like, this man is sleeping a lot. He does not really care at all or consider this like upkeep piece. He's really in this state of like, I don't give a fuck about anything.
He's eating Doritos, Mountain Dew, peanut butter and jam sandwiches. He has writer's block. He's sleeping all day.
He's a sloppy baby.
He's in the depths of depression.
Yeah.
I'm like watching some of this stuff and I'm like,
oh, that's not normal.
No, that's why I got medication.
Yes.
like,
oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like almost like peacock level hair in the back that's like a ratty tatty, and it's like he's got like these bleach blonde highlight too, like that classic 2004 hairstyle. But throughout the movie, I'm like, I think that's my haircut, and I'm worried about the level of bedhead.
But then at the end, when he finally brushes his hair,
oh, I hate that.
But is that when you were like, oh, this is my haircut?
No, that's my haircut. Yeah.
Okay. So he lays back down to go to sleep. Later, he's at his desk trying to write. It's the same. And you can see that it's a piece about cheating. A character catching someone cheating. Yeah. And he's just stuck on it. Yeah. Stuck in the same spot.
He's stuck in a lot of ways. Let's say that.
There's a woman vacuuming. He's got a cleaner. She's downstairs vacuuming. He tells his dog, if you don't go and bite her, I'll kill her.
Oh, really?
And his dog's like, huh? So he reads the writing back to himself and he's just like, this is bad. It's bad writing. No bad writing here. It just deletes it all. He's like, this is just garbage. He goes into the kitchen and sees that the story he threw in the trash is on the table, and he has a moment. He kind of freaks out a little bit. And the cleaner comes in and says that she found it in the trash and thought that he might want it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I found one of your stories in the trash.
And it's like, it's in the trash. Like, okay. Well, he should have at least recycled it, right?
Yeah. It was 2004. That
so he sits down, he starts reading it, and he freaks out right away.
Yeah.
The first bit he reads, he's telling the cleaner, and he's trying to tell her, he's like, somebody else wrote this story. Yeah. I didn't write this story. And she's like, okay, well, I thought you used a pseudonym or something.
She called it a pseudonym.
Yeah, something like that. And he's like, no, I don't do that. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why anyone would. And they're having this back and forth. And she's like, okay, like, yeah. And he's like, no, you need to understand.
Yeah.
Somebody else wrote this. I did not write this. She's like, okay.
Yeah. Right. And he does this weird, like, fake shooting her as he kind of like turns his hand into a gun and he's like, which like we all relate to a degree, but there are like hints of violence.
Yeah.
With this man from the very beginning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I've done that though.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like it's a casual thing.
Little things.
That we all do. But very from the beginning, we get this like, this man's on the fucking edge. And he is.
He is on the edge.
He told the dog to like, if you don't do this, I'll kill her. And then he has like this gun thing. And it's just like these little subtle hints of violence that build up.
And she's so sweet.
Yeah.
She thinks he's such a nice man and he fucking hates her.
Yeah.
She's like not getting it.
No.
He goes and he pulls one of his books off of his bookshelf. Mm-hmm. It's a compilation of short stories. He flips to one called Secret Window. And we're doing this side by side now. The first line is almost exactly the same as the one by Shooter. I think the names are different. There's a little bit of a difference, but it's the same story. He slips into a flashback of when him and his wife first moved into the cabin. We see her wearing the house coat that he's wearing now.
Yeah.
It's in a much better condition. She moves some furniture and finds this little secret window and looks down and says that she's going to put her garden down there. It's a secret window and it'll look down on a secret garden. He continues cross-referencing the stories. They're basically the same. He frantically starts rifling through his desk and he finds an old cigarette. This I also relate to, of being like, I don't smoke. And then something is so triggering and you're like, I know I've got one in here somewhere.
Where is it?
There's one in here somewhere. He tells his dog that he didn't steal the story. The cleaner comes to tell him that she's leaving and she tells him that some women don't know when they have the whole world. She's saying, you're a great guy.
Yeah.
Some women don't know when they've got the whole world in front of them, and You'll find the right one, that kind of thing.
She's like, I'm not going to say anything else, but I just have to say this. And it was just like a very sweet moment of her just saying, I see that you're hurting. Mm-hmm. That was not okay. You deserve better. And he kind of like brushes her off and dismisses it, which to each their own, of course. Like, you don't have to react to anybody's words in the way that they think they want you to react.
She's aware of that too, though. Yeah. She said that. She's like, I know you don't need to hear this, whatever, but I have to say it. This is all I'm going to say. Okay.
Yeah. But he's in a really like dark place.
Yeah.
With this.
He comes down to the couch and he's talking to himself about how that's his business. She's so nosy, rifling through his stuff.
Cleaning his stuff.
She moved his pillows around.
Cleaning his pillows.
He falls asleep to the ticking of the clock. He dreams of the front door rattling so hard that it's coming off the hinges with blinding light behind it. Then a man with a hat steps is already in the house and like steps into the hallway kind of thing. And then the phone rings and wakes him up. It's his wife calling to see if he's okay because she had a feeling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ex-wife,
yeah. Well, yeah.
Technically, on paper.
We see her walking around a beautiful sunny home.
Such a stark contrast, I think, the way he's living now.
Yeah. He asks if she thinks that he was influenced by anything or anyone else on the secret window story.
Because he's doubting himself. He's like, what? This is so close. Like, what?
And she's like, I hate that story. Right? Basically. Because it's about a man killing his wife, right?
And burying her in a garden.
Yeah. So she's like, I never liked that story. I don't know. You wrote it mostly at night. I have no idea. Like, I wasn't really around when you were doing that. He asked her about Ted. That's the guy that she left him for.
In the bed at the beginning.
So she cares for him. Like, they were married for a long time. She is worried about him. She is trying to reach out. There are a few times in this movie where she's trying to reach him. She's trying to, and every time it ends in a fight, kind of. Yeah. A fight, because he always brings it back to that she cheated, right?
Yeah, and you really get to see, I think, the complexity and the hurt and the guilt and the anger, and it'll unfold obviously as the movie goes, but she's really battling with the consequences of her own actions, but also what led up to that, and yet she still cares and wants to check in, and he is just black and white. I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah. They were married for 10 years. You don't just stop caring about somebody.
No.
Right?
And cheating sucks. We'll get into the build-up as to why she made that decision to do that, but it's not black and white for her. She's confused. She's really upset and scared on his behalf. And then she gets this like weird kind of like tingly gut feeling like something's off.
Yeah.
Yeah, this relationship's complicated.
Yeah. He goes for a walk and he comes across Shooter down the road. As they're talking, a neighbor drives by and waves. Shooter says that he wrote the story 7 years ago in 1997. And Moritz says that he wrote his in late 1994 and it was published for the first time in a magazine in 95. So there you go.
Yep.
I didn't steal it. If anything, you stole it from me. Like, get out of here now.
Yeah.
Shooter threatens him by saying, and how am I supposed to get that proof? Am I supposed to drive to your house in Riverdale, New York and ask your wife Amy for it? So he knows stuff about him, right?
That's scary.
Those
are details you just don't, like, strangers shouldn't know.
Yeah. Mort tells him that he's in the middle of a divorce and it's her house now, not his. Mort is hung up on the wrong piece of information.
Your life was threatened?
Yeah.
It's not my house anymore.
Yeah. So basically Shooter, he wants proof. That's his whole thing now at this point. I need to see proof that you wrote it first. I don't believe you, kind of thing. Shooter says that he strikes him as someone who's looking for a fight. But if they do start to fight, it won't end until one of them is dead.
Stakes just got raised.
Still, he's very calm. Like, he's just telling him, I'm not one to be fucked with.
Yeah. Dismissed.
You little guy look like you want to fight me or like you're ready to fight, but trust that, like, you don't want that from me. Right? So he gives him 3 days to get the proof. Mort is laying on his floor talking to his dog.
Really?
About how he doesn't want to call Amy about the about the magazine. He just wants to go to sleep.
Because it's at their house in New York.
Yeah.
And he needs to
like
get that copy.
Somewhere. Yeah.
And he has to call her to have her send it. Oh, wow.
Or to get consent to go
in and get it.
Yeah. He has to talk to her. He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, considering he slammed the phone on her in the previous scene.
So, Chico, the dog, kind of tells him, he's kind of talking with Chico, and he says, he's like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'll call her, and then I'll write for a few hours, and then I'll go to sleep. Like, I can do this.
Because this man wants to nap. Mm-hmm. Like, depression naps all over this house.
Yeah, I don't want to deal, I just want to sleep. Yeah. Chico hears a dog barking in the distance and goes outside. Also, Chico is blind. He's got cataracts.
Chico.
Yeah. Mort unplugs the phone and goes to sleep on the couch as soon as,
like, well, that plan didn't.
Yeah, Chico is the one overseeing
the accountability.
Yeah, the accountability dog.
Nice. I'm gonna sleep.
Yeah. He rolls over on the couch and opens his eyes to see a seaside cliff far below. He freaks out and falls off the couch and wakes up.
Oh god, those dreams though, where you're falling and your body fucking jolts out of its skin. I hate that feeling.
Prob does that a lot.
Oh god.
And he's like a big dude.
And he shakes the house when he does it, I bet.
Like, it always wakes me up, scares the shit out of me. Yeah. Okay, so it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
He can see that there's a note pinned to his door outside.
Which is...
Through the window he can see it.
He's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Right? Like,
yeah.
That's very, like, there's obviously a small town nearby and, like, neighbors kilometers away, but to see that would be very scary. The middle of the night.
He also, like, his house this cabin has a ton of windows. Mm-hmm. There's a big porch that's, like, screened in.
Yeah.
He doesn't always have the door actually closed.
True, I noticed
like
that
a screen door. So, like, the idea that someone was right there while you were sleeping, like, that is so fucking scary. So he goes outside. His outside light bulb has been smashed, his porch light. He gets a flashlight. He's scanning around in the dark. That's so scary too.
Yes.
The flashlight in the dark.
Ugh.
Did you do much camping growing up?
I went away to like camp, like, canoe camping and stuff.
Yeah.
My parents actually never camped.
No.
Like, it wasn't a family thing.
Yeah. I went camping a lot as a kid with my dad, and, getting up to pee in the night out of the tent, and then like scanning around and just waiting to see like eyes. It's so scary.
It like taps into like a deep instinctual like fight or flight kind of thing where when you scan, you're like looking for danger, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's so scary. I would always make my sister pee with, like, we would pee, pee buddies. So he goes and he goes over to the note. The note says, "You have 3 days. I'm not joking. No police."
You said that with joking?
Did I?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was a G on the end of that
I
word.
want to do the accent. Joking. I'm not joking, bitch.
Ooh, there it is. Menacing. Scary.
It's scary.
Threatening.
Yeah. So next to the note, he sees a sheet covering something. There's a little bit of blood on the sheet. Yeah. He lifts the sheet back and he finds that Chico has been murdered.
Ugh.
And that's horrible.
Yeah, really sad.
So he goes inside and locks all his fucking windows and doors finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should have been, anyway. At sunrise, he digs a grave for Chico. The next day, he goes to the police in town.
Yeah.
He's telling the sheriff about how he didn't get the license number, but he was pretty sure it had Mississippi plates. He thinks it started with, the sheriff is a pretty old man and he's really not paying attention to him.
Yeah.
He's doing needlepoint. He's chatting about this and that.
Small town.
Mort is asking him for help. At least something.
Yeah, I'm scared. I've been threatened.
Yeah.
Take me seriously.
The receptionist laughs really loudly into the phone and it's very jarring.
Yeah.
He's really not being heard. The sheriff says that he's like, killing an animal isn't like killing a human. I don't even know that that's a crime.
Literally on my notes, dog murder is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and Mort is saying too, what do you mean it's not a crime? At least trespassing, destruction of property.
Yeah.
Like there's, even if the murder of a pet isn't a crime, which it is, there are so many other things that have to have been perpetrated here. Yeah. There has to be a reason for you to at least look into this and try to help me, right?
Yeah. It's a very dismissive.
Well, the sheriff's also kind of like, you're a grown man, like, figure it out, which is very, So in the immediate next scene, he's in an office in a big city high rise.
Yeah.
The guy he's talking to, this is, Charles S. Dutton playing Ken Karsh, who's like a private investigator kind of.
I thought he was his lawyer.
No, he's not his lawyer. He's someone who's helped him in the past with other like stalking kind of things.
Gotcha.
That's why it gives me PI. Maybe he has some law enforcement affiliations from the past, but he's a little dirty too. Like he'll do what needs to be done if it's threatening or whatever to get
bodyguard for hire.
Bodyguard kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. So Ken is like, did you steal it? Like, be honest with me if you stole it. Because if you did steal the story, this is a different situation.
And then it alludes to that one time you did.
Yes, they allude to that. And he's saying, no, it was only that one time, I swear. I promise it was only that one time. This is a piece that's bigger in the book that I will wait to the end to kind of just bring it all up, but this is a piece that is different. He asks if it's a regular wacko like the ones they've dealt with in the past, or if this is someone that he should be talking to his lawyer about. We find that this man has helped him out before. Mort is asking for the same kind of help as then. As soon as he says that he will help him, he clicks this timer on to start charging. They have this back and forth about his wife. Mort clicks the timer off because it was really inappropriate.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not paying for you to chastise me about this.
Yeah. He says that he should be with him when he shows Shooter the proof. I'll go with you to do this. He tells him that he will be at his house tonight in a black Cadillac.
Yeah, so don't freak out. It's me.
Just keeping an eye on things, right?
Yeah, that would give me relief. Knowing that I'm just not alone.
Yeah. All the way out there. Yeah. I'm assuming he's on his way back to the cabin, but he goes out of his way to go by Amy's house. Mm-hmm. He parks outside and he sees Amy and Ted leave the house and they kiss. The voice in his head says, "This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife anymore." He arrives back at the cabin and sees Ken's car. Ken is in the front seat, not moving. Mort slowly approaches the car. Ken's head is leaned forward on the steering wheel. It's a very tense moment. He's not moving. It does not
look good.
Mort taps on the window and Ken looks up and they scare each other.
Yeah.
Ken says that he was only sleeping for maybe a few minutes. He checked the whole place. Everything's fine. He was just waiting for him to let him know. And Mort asks him if he's going to be staying the night, and Ken says, no, not unless you want me to. And then in the next scene, we see Ken checking through the house for him, saying there's no monsters in here.
Checked your toy box too, which is, he's scared. Like, help him out.
Ken says that he'll be back in the morning. He's gonna go ask around town to see who else has seen this nut job. Mort remembers that Tom Greenleaf, his neighbor that drove by, saw them together. He tells him that he'll find out where Shooter's staying, give him a scare, talk, use the word we a lot, and then he'll take off, Mort asks if he's staying in town for the night, and Ken says it's, some motel, Herbs Lakeside or something. Mort has a flashback to the night that he caught his wife cheating. He's like, do you know the place?
He's like, yeah, I know the place.
He's just like, ugh.
Yeah, I know the place.
So as Mort is looking out the window and about to close the blind watching Ken leaves, he sees something glint off the window that's like behind him, and he whips his head around. He grabs a fire poker and he's slowly going up the stairs to see what it is.
Well, he saw a running reflection. Like, yeah, so scary. Like, immediately I'd be like, I'm peeing my pants and I'm leaving.
And he's kind of like looking after Ken. He's like, no,
don't go. Yeah. Like, the timing is worse.
Yeah, it was like a glint of like something moving fast across.
Up in the mezzanine.
Yeah. So he slowly goes up. He searches his bedroom, using the fire poker to try to open the closet. He hears something behind him. He turns and he can see something. It's like a shoulder in the bathroom mirror.
Moving.
I know you're in there, shithead! The way that he says shithead.
Yeah. Shithead.
So funny. He rushes into the bathroom and smashes the mirror. And then he hears a noise in the shower behind him and he smashes the shower door. And it's just this little mouse.
Yeah, nobody's there.
Nobody's there.
No. This man is...
He's tripping. But
unraveling.
Have you not ever been home alone and heard something or seen something and been like, sure that it's something and it's nothing?
And it's nothing.
We have like plants in our room, and sometimes I wake up in the night and I think it's a man standing there. It's my plant. It's always there.
I think the fact that I have 3 cats, I just assume everything is the cats. Yeah. What's very scary is when I see 3 of them in front of me, and then I hear something going on behind me in the back of the apartment, and I'm like, oh, this is how I die. Yeah. This is how I go. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, Nova, check. Ziggy, check. Effie, check. Courtney, check. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh god.
Scary. Well, my house is over 120
and
years old.
And this room that we're sitting in, you told me, is haunted.
There's also ashes in here. There's human remains in here.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I've got remains at home too.
I don't tell my guests.
Yeah.
When people stay here, they don't know. My grandpa's in the corner.
Grandpa.
He's chill.
And he's keeping like the, respect as I look around the room, like mad respect to the lady who lives here in the walls.
Keeps the vibes in check. There's a woman and a young kid in here. They used to run wild. Grandpa moved in.
Yeah.
Things have mellowed out a lot.
Grandpa bias. You've got that grandpa bias.
I do.
But this house is hella old. I love it.
Yeah.
And every time I'm in here while you go pee, I'm like, okay, I bring no bad energy to
funny.
you.
And I think I've lived here for 6 years, so
yeah.
The first couple of years I was definitely a little on edge.
Well, yeah, because being here alone, you can hear like stuff.
I sit in this room at this desk for 6 to 8 hours a day with my back to the house.
Yeah.
Doing this, and I'm not scared at all.
No, and I just imagine, again, respectfully, as I look in the room, the ghost lady just being like, yes, work. You are doing a great job, Dakota. Keep it up, Dakota. Yeah. Just doing your thing.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about, I probably did, our friend came over one time and him and Prob were going to be making dinner, but Prob was still working. So he had come over earlier. I was kind of helping him prep. And then I went to go pick Prob up from work and he wanted to come with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you're fine. Just stay here. Like, I'll be 2 minutes. Like, and he's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm like, what? And he's like, I just don't want to be in your creepy house by myself. And I was like, what do you mean creepy? He's like, I just don't. Like,
it's a vibe.
He was scared to be in here alone. And I thought that was so funny because he's like a grown man.
Yeah. It just goes to show that I think
you can do it. You're fine.
It doesn't matter how old you are or how tough you think you are. Ghosties and ghoulies and unknowns, it kind of taps into a very deep piece of ourselves of just like, oh, I'm scared alone.
Yeah, for sure. I also feel like though, like we both, well, I won't out you, but like I grew up in a haunted house, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I think when you also just like have had a lot of experiences,
exposure to it,
and kind of can feel the difference between the energy of like malevolence and benevolence kind of thing. Yes. It's like, there's no bad vibes in here. There's vibes in here.
No, but I agree. It's just like a sense of like, oh, I'm not alone. And I think I've told you this too, like since my mom passed away a little while ago, like if that's there and there are malevolent, like I know my mom's just like hanging in the background, just being like, yeah, go ahead, fuck with her.
Yeah,
go on. And I'm like, yeah. So whenever I hear like something spooky, I'm like, okay, Mom, you're there, right? You're gonna back me up? You're gonna be there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, back to the movie. Anyway.
So he very gently picks up this little mouse in a cloth. He's holding it. He takes it outside far.
Yeah.
To set it free. And as he's kneeling down to set it free, he lights a match on a rock and lights a cigarette. And Shooter comes up right behind him.
Yeah, straight out of the gate.
Shooter says that it sounded like he threw a fit inside, which I think is hilarious. Cause he's kind of roasting him, right? Cause he's like, he knows that he's fucking getting to him.
Yeah, he's messing with him and he knows it's working.
Yeah. Like, oh, sounds like you threw a little fit in there.
Okay, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he asked him why he didn't get the magazine when he was at Amy's house today. So he knows that too.
Oh god, man.
Mort backs up into a shovel. So there's a shovel behind him and he grabs it. Shooter walks right up and around so that the shovel's now between them. Mort asks what he wants him to do. So many times Mort goes in this movie, he's like, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? And like, Shooter has told him
from the beginning,
very clearly from it's like, just, he wants one thing and one thing only. Shooter says that he wants him to fix the ending that he wrecked. He recites the ending of the story. It goes like this. I'm not going to do it in Shooter's accent.
Oh, okay.
Should I?
Yes. I want to hear it.
Oh. I know I can do it, Todd Downey said, helping himself to another ear of corn from the steaming bowl. I'm sure that in time, her death will be a mystery, even to me.
Well done. Thank you. I'm sure Lana would approve of your southern accent.
No, hers is so good.
Yeah.
I try. That's all you can do. So he wants him to write that ending and get that published with Shooter's name on it.
Mm-hmm. She's like spelling it out for him at this point.
Couldn't be more clear. Yeah. Shooter mentions his wife again, and Mort asks him to leave her out of it. And Shooter says that he would if he could, but he doesn't think that Mort is going to give him that option. Another that's just like, oh,
very
creepy.
threatening. Very threatening.
Mort whips around to hit Shooter with the shovel, and he grabs it. Shooter grabs it and lifts Mort into the air with his back against a tree, and he's holding him like by the neck by the shovel, basically choking him out. He mentions a couple different ways that he could kill Amy. He lets him down slowly, and he just walks away into the night. Yeah. The next day, Mort is eating Doritos, looking
with a deadpan stare of just like shoveling those chips in there, not swallowing.
Who hasn't been there?
Relate.
Looking as disheveled as ever. And he's watching the phone. And then he remembers he unplugged it. He goes, plugs it back in. Instantly, it rings.
Oh, that's weird.
Right away. Yeah. Well, Amy's been trying to reach him all morning.
Yeah.
She's super stressed. She tells him that someone burnt down her house.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think she said our house.
Yeah, our house, yeah.
So even she's like trying to like reconcile with what's then and now, but.
Yeah, she is, but she's also like, he hasn't signed the paper. It's still their house until, like, it will be her house. And also, his shit is there too, right? Like, it's still, He goes to the site, and he has a flashback of when they were together and happy. Mm-hmm. Amy and Ted arrive. Ted is really inserting himself into the mix with the cops and the firemen. Yeah, really, like, acting like, he is a prick. Yeah. I don't like Ted. And even Amy doesn't really like Ted that much. I don't think. No, there's a couple times where
she's just like, what the fuck, man? Stop.
Yeah, and also, like, where Mort's like, how's Ted? And she's like, he's okay, I don't know. It's, her cheating with Ted was not about Ted. Mm-mm. Right?
No.
It was about her getting out, and, like, she says later she was a chicken shit, and he had been in a decline for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I can also see, we don't know everything about their history, but it does seem like he does have a tendency to violence and stuff too. Having another man there as a bit of a protector when you're extracting yourself, like in this situation, I could also see that as just being like...
Yeah, it's not wrong, it's not right, it's just a choice that leads to consequences like we've talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
But this Ted guy is basically posturing, basically kind of inserting himself like you said. Yeah. It's kind of like, well, he's implying that this is his house when talking to the police.
The firemen are asking Mort questions and Ted's answering. And Mort finally kind of snaps at him and is like, are you going to let me answer anything?
Yeah.
And then Ted's like, ooh. And it's just like,
fuck off, Ted.
Yeah, for sure. But there's also this element too of Ted where it's like, he's just like a straight, like, white guy who's like trying to quote unquote protect his woman.
Yeah.
In this situation.
I see that too.
You know what I mean? Like, it's an over assertion. It's like not the right thing, but it also doesn't feel like it's coming from a power and control place
or competition.
In that it feels like it's coming from a protective like kind of place.
Like a prick trying to be protective
and just not like getting it.
Read the room, Ted.
Yeah. So the next scene, they're meeting with the insurance agency. We're finding that the settlement agreement of their divorce is done, but somebody just hasn't signed the paperwork yet.
To finalize it, to make it like actual X's.
Done. Yeah. He just won't sign it. And every time they bring it up, he gets super defensive about it, and he's like, all you care about is me signing the papers and getting me out of your life. Kind of
thing. It is that last piece of control that he has, right, with this relationship? Yeah. Or that last piece of her that he's not ready to, like, fully relinquish. Which is sad.
Ted keeps trying to look at the list of their assets.
Again, inserting himself.
And Amy's kind of turning it so that he can see, and Mort's like, no. Absolutely not. Why? And he's calling him a rubbernecker.
Which sounds like a slur.
It does. Yeah, it does. The agent says that actually Ted has no legal right to look at the paperwork at all. Sometimes they kind of wink at it, like they turn a blind eye to it if everyone's okay with it, but Mort isn't, so get the fuck out of here, Ted.
Which is a classy move on that.
To kind of back him up in that way.
Yeah. She read the room and was like, this is making this more difficult than it needs to be. Please leave.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to be here.
So Ted leaves. When they leave the agency, Amy asks if Shooter is like the other guy before. So there's another allusion to this happening before.
And also too, the police were like, do you have enemies? And Ted and Amy were like, no. And Mort was like, actually, I have a pretty recent one that I need to tell you about. So that's why Amy was inquiring about this.
Right, of course, yeah, I missed that. And he says he'd never done anything like that before or since. Ted takes Mort outside for a little talk.
A little man to man.
Ted said that he didn't end his marriage. It was dead before he got there. Ted says that he doesn't want him in his life either and to just sign the fucking papers so the divorce can be over with. Mort asks Ted where he's from. And he says he's from Tennessee, a little place called Shooter's Bay.
Which is a little too close to what's going on.
Yeah. Suspicious. So now Mort's like...
He's wrapped up in that.
Mort arrives back at the cabin and Ken isn't there.
Paying him $500 an hour for him not to be there.
$500 a day.
A day. $500 an hour. Money.
Holy.
Money.
Yeah.
2004 money.
Woo! The phone is ringing as he comes inside. It's Ken. He's at his hotel.
Yeah.
Ken says that he called the agent when he heard about the house and got him to send a copy of the magazine. Express overnight, it'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
He also says that he talked to Greenleaf and that he was nervous. He had the vibe that he was really scared. Didn't want to talk because he kind of changed his story. And he feels like someone got to him. And he doesn't think that Shooter's just some nut. And they really need to consider that he might have been hired by somebody else to do this.
Yeah,
kind of a
heavy
dog that got off the leash, right?
Yeah.
Now Mort says that he thinks that Ted may have hired Shooter.
Yeah, because that little Shooter's Bay piece, really, he can't let go of. It's too coincidental.
Or, exactly.
Yeah.
To be a coincidence. Yeah. Ken is telling them that they're gonna have to have evidence.
Yeah.
If they're gonna make any move against Ted at all. So they need to talk to Greenleaf. They need to see if they can get him to corroborate that he had been threatened by somebody.
He saw that
If they get enough pieces together, they might have some sort of not a case, but enough.
For the police to take him seriously, because he was so dismissive about all of the other things that Mort was bringing to the station the first time. And Ken just like casually whips out a 9mm. He's just like, I'm serious. I'm putting this under my pillow. This just got like to another level of, ooh, this is dangerous.
Ken has dealt with a lot of fucking crazy people before, it seems like.
Yeah.
Or like scary people. And for him, these pieces aren't adding up in a way that feels normal. And he's going, no, this is something else. This is a little bit more, maybe more dangerous, more than we're.
And he's right.
Mort sits up in the night and says that he's like, it is a good ending. She's just like, okay, like to the story. So he's not sleeping at night. He's sleeping during the day. He's just like yeah.
This man's sleep schedule's all over the place.
He's consumed by this. Next we see he's passed out on the couch sleeping. It is past, he was supposed to meet Ken at like 9 a.m. It's like 10:30. He slept in. He wakes up and realizes he's late. His keys are missing.
Ruh-roh.
He opens the door and Shooter's hat is right there on the doorstep. He goes outside and he sees that his car is there. It's running. The door is open and there's the ding, 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 ding.
That's scary. So scary. These little subtle little things that indicate like some nefarious shit is going on, and he's wound so tight. So he's just like jumping in on the edge of his seat, just like trying to like figure out what's going on. And you're going along obviously with the story with him, but seeing that, it's like, oh, I don't have a full understanding of what's going on here, even like in my own house or like that was my car. Like, oh, this is
how
getting
is
really
this
close.
Happening? Like,
how?
Yeah. He goes into the car. He turns it off. He's looking around. He finds cigarette butts. It's Pall Mall, so that's not even his brand that he smokes.
No, you're right.
He gets a garbage bag to pick up the hat so he doesn't touch it. That's kind of smart. He gets back in the car with the hat. He drives into town. He goes into the diner where Tom is every day and where he was supposed to meet Ken. Everyone looks at him when he walks in, which is very small town too. He sits at the bar and he asks the waitress if someone came in around 9 looking for him. And she says, no, nobody was here looking for you by that description. Driving back to the cabin, he sees Ted gassing up, which is weird because it's pretty far out of his way.
Yeah, weird.
Another really intense backing up moment where he backs all the way up to the gas pump. He approaches Ted, and Ted says, actually, I was on my way to your place. Mort's like, where's your buddy? Where's your buddy at? Like,
I know what you're doing here. Yeah. You can't fool me. You hired this guy. And Ted's like, what?
I came alone. And he brings out the divorce papers. He's like, you gotta fucking sign these. This is why I'm doing this. I'm bringing these to you. It has nothing to do with anything else than that.
No.
They have an argument. Mort is saying that he doesn't respond to intimidation. He tells him he had to bury his dog. Call off your friend. He's gone rogue. They're kind of pushing each other. Ted tries to punch Mort and he punches his car window, hurts himself. Mort gets home and the phone rings again right when he gets in the door. It's Shooter. He says to go where they met the other day. Mort runs down the path. Tom Greenleaf's vehicle is there. He approaches it slowly. He calls out to Tom, who is sitting in the front seat. As he approaches, so we see Tom just sitting, staring in the front seat.
A little callback to the beginning where, oh, is this bad? Oh, he was just sleeping. Yeah.
As he approaches, the camera angle switches to the other side of the car.
Ooh, yeah.
And we can see a screwdriver in the side of Tom's head. He's dead.
Yeah.
Mort starts gagging.
And throws up.
There's a bloody axe in the passenger seat. Ken is in the back seat. He's also dead.
Oh, yeah. Just like really violent.
But not overkill.
No, just
like it's just
violent.
Like swift violence. These are not like weapons.
No.
Right?
Convenience.
Yeah. Also, it's his screwdriver. Mm-hmm. Again, like that's the screwdriver that killed his dog too. Yeah. It's like, get rid of that thing.
Gross.
Mort has a stare down with a squirrel in a tree and passes out.
This squirrel sees what you did. And it's just like the most intense eye contact from the squirrel in the tree. And it's just like, you know that dramatic chipmunk meme of, do you know what I'm talking about? Dramatic chipmunk? This is a cultural moment. You need to look it up right now. Just Google dramatic chipmunk meme. Because that is the energy that is this scene. I'm laughing just thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the vibe for sure. Wow.
If you don't know what we're talking about, please Google that.
Yeah,
I Google that every once in a while to feel good.
When you just need a little pick me up. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that is 1,000,000% exactly what this scene is. Yeah. There are a couple little pieces throughout the movie too where there's that tiny weird moment of levity.
I need to see
the dramatic chipmunk we all need. Okay. I'm wearing the socks you got me.
It's the Mothman socks.
Oh, Mothman.
Okay, I'm back to Earth. But yeah, that was just a weird part of the movie where I was like, what is going on?
Right? I don't know.
Sorry. That was a corny moment.
I love it.
But this man is like wound real tight to have that stare down.
Fucking stare down. And then he passes out. He wakes up sometime later and Shooter's there. He says that he was out for about 3 hours. Mort is trying to run away, but his legs are asleep. Yeah. This is another scary moment.
As he's like running away, as his legs are waking back up, and
Shooter's just like
walking.
Yeah.
Menacingly behind him.
Shooter says, don't go too far because I linked you to these murders in more ways than you know. Shooter says that the other guys were getting in the way of their business. Cause he had told him to keep it just between them. It's like, they were getting in the way. Like, this isn't even a big deal. This is like casual. He tells him he has 2 hours to get the story and meet him at his house. And if he talks to the sheriff again, he's going to be really fucked.
Yeah.
Mort goes into the vehicle. He takes his screwdriver out of Tom's head. He launches the vehicle into the lake. As he's doing so, Tom's head slips forward and it's laying on the horn, blasting it. His arm gets stuck and his watch is like stuck on the shifter thing.
Yeah.
He manages last minute to get his arm free, but his watch goes in with it too.
So this is sloppy because he took all of the effort in the world to cover up his hands to take the screwdriver out of the neighbor's head and wipe down the door. And then he's just like straight up palming with no gloves or no sleeve to hide. he's unraveling.
Yeah, and also, wouldn't fingerprints like degrade over time in water? Does it really matter?
I don't know.
Also, your watch is in there now. You might as well just left the fucking screwdriver
Right?
and shit in there
Just
too.
been like, Johnny Depp was here.
Yeah. When he gets home after dumping those bodies, the phone rings and it's Amy, and she sounds like she's been crying. She's having a really hard time. She's been really worried about him. She asks if things maybe would have been different if they hadn't lost the baby. So,
which is another little clue as to how this relationship was like really degrading, since that really traumatic. It's like traumatic, right? To have that.
She tells him that she only cheated with Ted and she didn't sleep with anybody else. And he's like, okay, nice to know. Like she's just like trying to connect in some way, and she's really been through a lot in this, and he just is a brick wall. Like, he's just like, okay, great. Like, why do I want to know that? Why are you telling me that? Like, kind of thing.
And to a degree, like, I get that level of hurt and that reaction, but this man is not available.
It's 6 months isn't that long.
No.
But at all to like get over something like that.
No.
If things were normal circumstances. I think that the difference here is that Amy can tell that Mort is sick.
Not well.
She was with him for 10 years.
And she said the last 2 where he just wasn't there.
And this unraveling isn't something that would just happen overnight.
No.
We've alluded to times before when things were bad.
Yeah.
She knows about his history.
Yeah.
She's really concerned about him.
Yeah.
Right? So there's another level. I think if the both parties were healthy, we wouldn't be communicating this much, right?
No.
But there's this genuine concern for his well-being that she has that just makes a difference. So she is trying to connect in some way. Yeah. As you said, this is where she mentions that he wasn't there anymore for the last couple of years. He's like, I fucking work from home.
What do you mean I wasn't there?
She's like, no, like, it was 2 years I looked in your eyes and I didn't see you looking back. Yeah. Kind of thing. They have this back and forth. She brings up the papers again and he gets pissed off. Because he's like, oh, you really tricked me into thinking that you care about me. All you care about is this divorce.
Yeah, both can exist, man.
When they hang up, Amy goes to get her coat and she tells Ted that she's not dancing around this anymore. Ted says that he wants to go with her and she says, no, I need to go alone. I'll be back by 7.
Yeah.
Mort goes to the post office. On the way in, the sheriff calls out to him that he'd like to, and Mort brushes him off and goes inside. As he goes into the post office, he's stretching his jaw. And he's been doing this a little bit more and more.
Progressively more and more.
The girl in the post office is kind of into him.
Yeah.
And she says that the post office would freak if they knew that they also handled UPS stuff. And she asks him not to tell anybody. He says, of course he won't. As he's leaving. And she says, 'cause I saw what you did. He whips his head around. He's like, what? What? She said, I said they'd shoot me if you did. So auditory things he's
a little break.
Yeah.
A little break in reality there. And she goes, oh, super cute.
Cute. But she also tells him that he should go and lie down.
He does not look well.
He's not looking good.
Pale.
Isn't it when he came in and she was like, oh, you look pale. And he's like, thanks. Something like that. It's funny. The sheriff approaches him in his car and asks him if he's got a minute to talk. And he just tells him that he doesn't. He speeds away.
Not a good time. Gotta go.
Ted is sitting in his house, kind of stressing, and he gets up to go after Amy, which is the right call. I mean, Mort gets home. He sees that his package is half open. But it wasn't half open when he was at
He started to open it.
He started opening it.
But he didn't open it as far as...
But when he opened it a little bit, and then when he gets home, it's like fully half open.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't do this.
Yeah. But at some point, right? He opens it and he starts flipping through the magazine. The pages go from 82 to 99 and his story has been cut out.
Yeah, what a mindfuck.
He's saying, you son of a bitch, you cut it out.
You cut it out. I don't know how you did, but you did it.
The voice in his head goes, wait a minute. How would he do that? He responds, I don't know, but he did it. Think about it. How? I don't know. He goes inside. The hat is sitting on his coffee table. He stares at it, picks it up and puts it on. He stretches his jaw. He walks up to the mirror. His whole demeanor is different. This is where I started typing pretty much word for word what was happening. It's going to get a little confusing probably for a second.
Well, there's a lot going on.
I'm going to do my best.
You got this.
The voice in his head which is his own voice, says, why'd you put that on? He says, I don't know. Maybe he wanted you to. Why would he want me to put his hat on? Maybe he wants you to ... He turns from the mirror. So this whole time he's looking in the mirror and it's him talking and then his own voice responding.
Yeah.
He turns from the mirror and says, maybe he wants me to what? And he's facing himself. So now we have real corporeal two
Johnny Depps.
Two Johnnies. One good Johnny, one evil Johnny with the hat on and good Johnny with no hat on.
Multi-Johnnies.
So the voice that was in his head, his conscience basically, is now corporeal standing facing him. He's facing himself.
Yeah.
Real Johnny has the hat on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the one that was the voice in his head says, to get confused. Oh, I'm already confused, Pilgrim. And he takes his hat off and sets it, and he starts heading to the door. So the other Mort is now standing at the door, telling him, back up just a second. What about Pilgrim? Shooter's Bay and all these other details he's chosen to ignore. Is this a coincidence? And then real Johnny goes, so, well, I'm wearing his bruises, aren't I? Are you? He whips up his shirt to look.
Yeah.
He has no bruises. The one that was his voice in his head, conscience, tells him, call the police, tell them come down this second and lock you up before you can do any more damage. Mort says, I'm gonna get a knife and cut you out of me before you kill anyone else. So then he's again. So real Mort's saying, I'm gonna cut you out of me. Conscience Mort is saying, don't hurt anybody else. Call the cops. We find out that Mort had a gun the night that he caught Amy and Ted. He changed the story in his mind, but he had a gun. He says that it wasn't loaded, and his conscience says, no, you almost killed them. And you wanted to, and you still want to. His conscience says, there's no John Shooter. There never has been. You invented him. And then real Johnny starts weirdly barking. He's like,
yeah, that was strange. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
That was no Chico either, maybe. And you invented him. His conscience says, listen to me, not to him, before it's too late.
Yeah. There is a battle going on in this man's head.
Yeah.
Because there's what we're seeing is like three different perspectives. We have the conscience of Mort being like, dude, you're not okay, call the police. We have the tangible Mort who's like seeing things. Oh, those are the gaps getting filled in. I did have a gun. I did want to kill them. Oh, I left that out in my head. I was blocking that out. And then there's this other part of him that'll come out. But I can only just imagine little Dakota being like, what is going on?
Yeah, dude. This reveal I said it blew my mind. So obvious now, but it blew my mind. Yeah. He screams, leave me alone! And he throws a heavy thing. I don't know if it's like an ashtray or something. He throws something at the wall. And it makes a big dent. And the voice says, you are alone. The wall starts cracking up and up and up. And he's watching his whole roof of the cabin is like splitting apart from one side to the other all the way. He follows this, and then he looks into the mirror, and as he's looking in the mirror, he sees the back of his own head.
Oh, this is trippy.
As he approaches, a voice is whispering. This is where I had to search the fucking screenplay, because I was like, what the fuck? So the voice is saying, you have no idea what you're doing. You've been eating potato chips this way for 30 years. Sister found out about the broken window. School had to be withdrawn from the competition. Then she got up from the table and didn't talk for the rest of the night. Todd Downey thought a woman who'd steal your love. What's Todd have to do with it? Everything. I'm starting to believe Todd was right. Everything that you're doing is wrong.
Who the fuck is Todd?
Todd Downey is the person in the story.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. He is not okay.
He says, what's happening to me? And then Shooter responds, oh, I think you have a real good idea.
Well done, Dakota. Well, I was like, is she gonna do it? She did it.
He says, you don't exist. The camera pans up and we see Shooter standing on the stairs behind him. He says, I exist because you made me.
You made me, yeah.
We have a flashback to Mort and Amy at like an estate sale or something.
In the happy times of their marriage.
Where he finds the hat. He puts the hat on and he makes up an accent. He just makes up this character at that time. Yeah. He's having little flashes of him blowing up the house with the hat on. Him in the car. Can you imagine that? He doesn't wear the hat every time he does the crimes, but I love the idea as if he did wear it every time.
Yeah.
But he's not wearing it.
It's a mood.
He's wearing the hat when he blows up the house. He's in the car with Tom and Ken.
Yeah.
in this flashback, the neighbor's saying, I didn't want to say anything before, Mort, but you were alone. And you can see Mort's like holding these weapons. He's going to kill them. Shooter's saying, I did all your dirty work so you didn't have to. All the shit that you were too weak to do, I took care of. I did everything that you told me to do.
It's a bit of a protector part coming out.
Yeah. And there's one thing left that we have to do, and we have to fix the ending. And how do you suppose we do that? Mort hears a car approaching, and he turns around. I feel so bad for Amy.
The second he puts on that hat, though, when Amy is approaching, and the rim is just cutting through his irises, and you see that dead fucking stare.
Yeah.
Great acting.
Yeah.
But like immediately you're like, this is not gonna go well. This is violence. I'm seeing violence. It was so menacing.
Yeah. So Amy gets out of the car. She's calling his name. She sees pages from Secret Window, the book, flowing around in the wind. She knocks on the door. He doesn't answer. She goes inside. As she steps inside, she sees the house is totally fucking destroyed.
Which, pause, is that what the house looked like the whole time? Or is that just a result of him having a tizzy right before she got there? Because you're kind of questioning the reality, because it looks like there's old food and, scattered and broken.
I think maybe after the cleaning lady came, because she did come somewhere midway.
Yep.
But I feel like that was kind of when things started declining more.
Yep.
I would say that it's definitely not an instantaneous thing.
But we had seen up until that point like a clean house.
Yeah.
It's just that's the break in reality. He was living in a squalor at that point, just shoveling Doritos and pound of Mountain Dew, and it's like an inside look into this man's head.
For sure. Everything is overturned. There are books everywhere. As you said, old food, chairs knocked over. She calls out to him and Chico, which is fucked up because he told Ted that he had to bury his dog. Why the fuck did Ted not tell Amy that Chico's dead?
Ted's a prick.
She loves Chico.
Yeah.
Anyway. She sees the hole in the wall, and it's just a normal hole.
No crack.
No big old crack.
They crack again.
Crack. Then she sees the table. There's a big 40 of Jack Daniels and cigarettes. He's been drinking. Has a history of alcoholism. We kind of find out. She says, that makes sense. There's something scratched into the coffee table. She sees the window. There's something written on it in cream cheese. I don't know.
What
yeah,
is
it's
that?
white. She hears the floorboards creak upstairs behind her.
Oh!
She goes slowly upstairs. There's more destruction.
Yeah.
She walks slowly over to his writing desk. She picks up the manuscript.
There's a weird-ass Barbie doll just sitting on that desk too, right?
Fucking voodoo doll, probably. She sees Shooter is carved over and over into the desk under it. She looks down at the window from here, from this perspective. She can see that it says Shooter. She can see that on the coffee table it says Shooter. It's carved everywhere. It's on the walls.
Did you notice as she's panning, the shoot and the are slowly getting further and further apart?
Yeah. She whips around. She sees Mort standing behind the bedroom door with the hat on. He kind of pushes the door closed so you can see he's standing and leaning with the hat on his eyes. And as you said, the shooter's space. So now it says shoot her.
Yeah. That ain't Mort.
That's not Mort. Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
It's Mort, but not Mort.
Yeah. He's just staring at her under the brim of that hat. Muggin'.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Mug of all mugs. He's fully talking in a southern accent at this point. He says that Mort is dead. She's backing down the stairs. He grabs at her hair with scissors.
Oh.
So scary. She runs to her car. She's trying to go, but it's like the parking brake is on. I can't even, that is something so scary to me.
How long does it take to start that fucking car?
I can't even imagine. I mean, you
like
shake it so much.
Oh.
And then, but also she's trying to go. It's not going.
Oh,
well,
panic.
Her e-brake's on. He gets to her. He walks over. He gets to her. He drags her out of the car, dragging her by the hair, basically, over the porch. The porch has two, it's got two doors, one door on either side. So it's the door onto the porch. You turn right, it goes into the house, or you go straight and it goes into the back garden area.
Shotgun style. You can go straight.
Yeah.
Straight through.
Takes her back into the house, right? She tries to get away. He stabs her in the leg with a screwdriver. She kicks him. She's bleeding. She runs to the door. He fucking boots her down the stairs and she knocks her head on a rock.
Ugh. She's stunned at this point. Like, she can't get up.
She's laying there. He's saying, none of this was my idea. It was Mr. Rainey the whole time. It was his idea. She's going, you are Mort Rainey. Yeah. He hears another car approach. He's like, what the fuck? Ted comes in calling for Amy. Mort's hiding behind the door with the shovel. She screams, Ted, no! Ted comes running. Mort smashes him in the face with the shovel. He goes down. Mort kills him. Ugh. Slowly walks to Amy saying, I know I can do it, Todd Downey said, helping himself to another ear of corn from the steaming bowl. I'm sure that in time, her death will be a mystery, even to me. Shows the cabin from high above and crow's caw.
He killed her. That's a seagull.
The camera is panning over the lake, and then it shows the diner in town. Mort comes in. His hair is dead.
Slick.
He looks awful. He's got new glasses. He's super perky.
Totally. Like, this is a Mort we haven't seen yet.
At all.
At all.
Braces.
People are
really uncomfortable.
Oh.
The girl from the post office is skeeved by him.
Which is interesting because she had the hots for him before, so public opinion has, like, dramatically shifted on this man.
Yeah. She is trying to get out of there. He comes up behind her and leans in way too close and says hi. He's gotten braces.
Trying
to straighten some things out. Yeah. He tries to ask her out and she just fucking runs away. Good for her. Yeah. The sheriff pulls up to his cabin. The door is open. He comes in. He knocks and then he comes in. He's like, I'm coming in. The door's open. The place is super clean. He's kind of walking through calling. We see an exercise machine. He turns the corner. The kitchen is full of corn.
Like, full. Like, falling off the counter full of corn. Like,
yeah.
You don't need that much corn. This man is.
The sheriff comes. He finds him at his writing desk having a working lunch. It's 5 years of corn. Can you fucking imagine?
With braces too, man. That shit is not gonna go well for you.
Rough.
That's evil right there.
The sheriff says that he knows what he did. They don't have enough to put him away right now, but they will, and they will find those bodies and they will put him away.
There's 4 people dead.
In the meantime, don't come into town anymore. You make people super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mort says that the only thing that matters is the ending. And that this one is very good. The camera pans out of the little window down into the garden. We see that it's full of corn. He close up bites into the corn. The end.
It takes a whole other meaning to ear of corn, am I right?
The end. Yeah. So, major differences from the book to the movie. One is that in the book, they don't just allude. It's very clear that he has plagiarized before. He actually, one of his first, major things that got his name started.
Like the Big Break?
The Big Break was plagiarized by another student in university. And he had paid him off. That's the one time that they talk about.
He's been pretending to be other people for a while.
And it's the guilt of the plagiarism, not his anger about the cheating, that makes him go crazy.
In the book.
In the book.
Yeah, okay.
Chico is a cat in the book. It's a cat, not a dog, that he has.
Stephen King loves cats.
At the ending is the major thing. Actually, Mort dies in the end. Amy and Ted don't die. So he's attempting to murder Amy. The sheriff comes and he gets shot dead.
Yeah.
Later, Amy's at the cabin and she's kind of talking about, what had happened and things, and Shooter comes.
As Mort?
No, he's real.
Oh.
But he wasn't real. It's like he created a character so powerful that he became real.
That's more like Stephen King. Okay.
So there's actually a bit of a magic edge to it that Shooter arrives, and we find that it was Shooter that did those murders.
I like what they did with the movie.
Yeah. I think that the way that they ended it just works better for film.
Yeah.
It's more intense.
Well, it's the same with The Shining too, right? Stephen King. Have you read The Shining?
I haven't read any Stephen King. I'm not really a Stephen King guy. No.
Have you seen the movie The Shining?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the movie The Shining, very similar to this take on Stephen King's like, there's way more fucking magical. In the book of The Shining, there's, like, living topiary creatures that, like, come alive and attack them. So they're just kind of removing, like, the mystical, magical elements for movie's sake and making it more like a thriller person going mad.
Well, it's a bit more mainstream, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like, it's a bit more digestible to more people. Not everybody likes...
Yeah, they're weird. Like, they're really strange. And I guess the same thing with it, too, where there's, like, other elements.
I've heard about a lot of other things in it.
That they left out from the movies.
So those are the main things that I recall that I found in my journeys. And it's crazy. You know what's really disgusting, actually? A lot of people online who are definitely, like, young men who have never had real relationships are like, that cheating bitch and her boyfriend deserved it kind of thing, which is, like, so crazy to me.
Yikes.
Anyway, the end.
Crunch. Crunny crunch. Ugh. Yeah, that movie was, like you said, kind of watching that at that time and these things unfolding. If you don't pick up, obviously, on the hints from the beginning that this is what's actually going on, that would be a massive reveal. Like, shook at the end. But I found it interesting how they portray, I think, like, the ultimate unraveling at the end, where he's having these, like, literal conversations with himself outside of his head. Because at the beginning of the movie, that's not new. He's having a little chit chat with...
And so many people do that.
Like we said.
And
normal.
And it's a conscience thing, too. It really is, like, that voice in his head is like, the good guy.
Trying to help. Don't go back there. No, that's not good. Don't do that. That's not good for you. That'll hurt. Or, and then slowly we see that part of him extinguished or blocked away, and that protector part or that shooter part came out. It's really neat. I'm always fascinated to watch kind of the break or, like, the psychological breaks happen in movies, because they're obviously an
Well, how do you do something that's so internal, and how do you, like, portray that in a way that's, like, understandable to everybody?
Exactly.
In a visual medium, right? Yeah, totally. That's interesting for sure.
Yeah. And obviously we know people who suffer with mental illness are more likely to be hurt than to hurt others.
Yes.
This is a cinema, fuck, I can't talk. It's like a Hollywoodized version of a dramatic story of a man breaking. And I thought that was really neat to watch. I think their take on, especially with the mirror, and then all of a sudden the mirror is like, more is now outside of him, and then he's having this conscious...
And those visual hallucinatory things of, like, seeing the back of the head and stuff like that. If you've been, like, in, like, any kind of spirally place, or having, like, I've got a bit of a history of paranoia and stuff, and depression, anxiety, paranoia, and like panic and stuff like that. And I've been in, like, not to that at all, but when you're in the depths of, like, one of those spirals, when those little, like, visual things start to happen, like, where reality is just, like,
tilted.
That's, like,
fucking scary.
Very scary.
Yeah, and it taps into, I think, an inherent fear that we all have of, like, what's real? Can I trust myself? What have I done? Kind of, like, reckoning and, like, the blocks. That's all, like, real.
And when you find, too, like, oh, that's the reason he's fucking sleeping all day.
Yeah.
Because he's out committing crimes all night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
another part took over. Or became, like,
came forward, and for sure. Yeah, and I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that, too, because that's very true, and that is something that can be scary, and is a thing in society about perpetuating this idea that
Hollywood loves to do that.
People with mental illness are dangerous or whatever.
Yeah.
And we do not believe that. We know that not to be true. Yeah. We completely, as you said, are more likely to be hurt than to hurt.
Yeah.
I think that this isn't just a story about about this illness, right?
No.
This is like a compounding. This is like a long, there are many things that kind of culminate to create this perfect soup of...
Yeah, and it's a story. Like, half of Stephen King's shit's like otherworldly and alien, or...
It's like half that, and the other half is like autobiographical.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, like, at the time of him writing this, I guess he was like deep in substance abuse, dealing with that. And for a writer, like, what would be a bigger fear than someone showing up at your door and saying that you fucking stole their story? That's, so I feel like this one too is very much his own, this is a lot about his oin mind and his own fears.
Projected. Yeah. It's a really interesting look into a writer's world too. That's hard, like, to have multiple worlds, multiple characters going on and like trying to stream them all together and make it entertaining, because that's also the point as a writer too, to be artistic and creative, but like you want people to enjoy it and buy it because you want it to be your living. Yeah. So I just remember watching this movie and writing in my notes as he's like staring at this like 2-sentence paragraph and like getting that writer's block. And I'm like, man, that would be fucking hard to like come up with that stuff. Yeah. Especially with how many he's written. And like you said, that's a very autobiographical moment, because Stephen King has written a lot of books. Lots of stories.
Yeah. I think like him and Nora Roberts are like, they just like write constantly.
Pumping that
I remember seeing a thing of like Stephen King and George R.R. Martin talking. And George R.R. Martin's like, how? Yeah. And he's like, I just do it. And George R.R. Martin's like, like, he's like, I don't know, I can't. Yeah. Not like that.
Yeah.
So you liked it?
I did.
Yeah.
I really love the slow little clues. And I think I've mentioned this to you before, but it's kind of my thing where I'm obviously trying to figure out the movie before it even like unveils. But I really kind of gave myself, and it's like, okay, no, you kind of know where this is going. So let's pause on that, stop looking for things to confirm, and just watch. And that was, once I kind of let go, I was like, yeah, this is a story of unraveling and a man that's not okay and who's not facing it, right? He's not facing anything, which is super common, I think, for us as humans. We want to avoid uncomfortable things, and be accountable for them is equally as hard. And this is a story of a man who didn't want to do both.
I think the pacing is really perfect too. For me, it's just like one thing after the other, and the way that it heightens, how it levels up, is really good, I think.
Yeah, and it kind of took me by surprise about how quick. So the scene of him dumping the car and then getting the manuscript from the post office, and then like out of nowhere, all of a sudden it was like, boom, he's unraveled. And that kind of caught me off guard how quickly that happened, because I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a build up. And then I checked how much time was left in the movie. I was like, oh no, it's now. It's happening now.
We've been building for an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And just for me too, as I kind of said before, this is really the first time I remember seeing and really feeling like, maybe before I had seen like thrillers or scary movies and they were just a little bit too much for me at the time. This is the first movie I remember really seeing, and it just connected, like it clicked for me.
You liked it.
And I liked it, exactly. And everything just like, it was so pivotal for me in that way, in opening me up to this whole other side of like movies and entertainment and stuff, and of myself.
Yeah.
Of being like, oh, actually, I like this.
Yeah.
I like this and I like this. Yeah. And it's, together. And, so it's definitely a soft spot for me.
It's an unlocking. Like you said, you were scared of some of these things up until a point, because in childhood and girlhood, it is like, oh, that's too much. Oh, gotta go to the bathroom for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But this for you was like at the edge of puberty, 14, or like 12. On the other side, 12. Yeah. And this was like I kind of like being scared, or I like this idea of this kind of storytelling.
Yeah. And also because it's not that gory. It's not that like, it's really more in the storytelling than straight up violence.
Yeah.
The violence is
there,
but it's undertones and it's little pops of it until the end, where it's this one big violent act, but it's not so
in your face.
Yeah. And I think that was really what helped me to be like,
interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And you're approaching a moodiness in life, right? Like,
I'm about to get hella moody.
Yeah. And this movie played a role in your time of your life.
Yeah. And I already loved Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
So it was like, I felt safe with him in this movie, right? You know what I mean?
Familiar.
Yeah. For sure. So
I trust I can go with this.
Yeah.
Right on. Favorite character?
Shooter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think so. I think John Turturro? I hate that. No. I need to start, if I'm unsure, I need to start listening to it.
No, I like it. No, I want you to mispronounce it.
No, but I just want to be respectful, Anyway, some people were like, his accent was forced, blah, 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 whatever. Again, as we've said many times, we're not fucking professionals. We're not here to criticize anything.
No.
That is not what we're doing here. We're just bossing people up.
Yeah.
Mostly, and pointing out some things that maybe don't. But I just thought, again, because you're kind of used to seeing him in just other kinds of roles. And he was so quietly menacing. He was so slick. His body language was really, like, I just thought, what an amazing villain.
Yes.
Like, what a really powerful,
quiet burn
performance. Like, in that, just really.
I don't need to be loud to be scary.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And again, he was never explicitly threatening anything, but it was everything he said. It was like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking destroy your life and everybody you love. Like, but he never said that. Never had to say
just
that.
Thinly veiled, like little scary bit.
And I know that like the character was in his head the whole time, but the actor had to act that. You know what I mean?
He did a stand-up job.
Yeah, he was incredible. I thought.
Mine was the squirrel.
I fully accept that.
Thank you. They just the camera lingered so long on that eye contact with the
long
squirrel.
On the squirrel,
like,
right?
What is happening? The squirrel's like, I see you. I see what you did. I know what you did. How do you want to rate it? How many ears of corn out of 10?
I am not eating any of that corn. There's dead bodies underneath it.
Fertilizer. How much butter are you putting on corn? I am a butter, salt, pepper gal. And I'm like biting, and then I put it down in the butter. I bite, and I put it down in the butter.
We started doing last year, you know that tahini seasoning?
Yes.
What we'll do is we'll kind of put a little olive oil on the corn, and then sprinkle the tahini seasoning, and then when you put it on the barbecue, it almost gets like this kind of caramelized,
like a char almost.
And then it gets a little sour, a little smoky, a little sweet, and then you put the butter on it after. Ooh. Holy fuck. Dude, we'll make it for you this summer. It like, I like corn when it's in season, but this was a fucking game changer this year. I was like,
I have a recipe for you. It's spicy miso, like, either white or brown miso, that it's a paste that you put on. It takes fucking corn to the next level.
I'm down. I have miso in my fridge right now.
Boom. Bing bang boom.
So,
wait, right. Movie. I'm just thinking about corn now.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. We don't have to rate it. I am thinking about corn now.
I'll give it some good butter with the tahini spice on it.
You gotta try it.
I don't even know, and I know that that's how I'm rating it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can almost taste the tartness right now.
Ooh.
So good.
Oh, ba ba boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, for sure. Fully dressed, right? Fully dressed.
None of this.
Yeah. Boiled, no. It's gotta be like, nice.
Fresh,
crisp, Chilliwack corn.
Chilliwack corn, and I don't care. Chilliwack corn, and I don't care.
Anything else? Are we missing anything? Oh, fuck. Okay, so are we gonna...
Oh, well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Folks.
Yeah.
We are approaching the end of our season.
Yeah.
Settle. Whoa. Contain yourselves, people. It's okay. We will be back.
Yes, let's confirm that. We will be back for season 2. We're not gone yet either. We're gonna have 2 more episodes
each.
No, altogether.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do 12 episodes in season 1. We're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna come back better than ever for season 2.
Yeah, this is so much fun.
Yeah. So for our last 2 episodes, are we gonna do that? We decided?
Yeah.
So we thought it would be fun to just choose what movie we want to do for our last episode each. I'm not sure.
That's okay.
I kind of bounced my week. But I'm not trying to take your thunder.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just
It's
confirming.
okay. It's my week, so you don't have to.
I was attempting to reassure you.
Yeah. So it's your week.
Yeah. And I hemmed and hawed about it. And y'all know if I didn't pull Jurassic Park, it would be the ultimate pick. But that was more fun, kind of picking it and then squealing with delight because of the luck of the draw.
Magical, yeah.
But I do have the one that I'm going to pick, and I'm not going to reveal.
No.
That's a secret the next time. But I would say this movie that I am picking for my last is right below Jurassic Park.
Sure.
In terms of favorites. And like how many times I've rewatched.
I've only seen it a few times. Like, I've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
But I even watched it pretty recently, but I never remember the plot.
Well, there's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
But you gotta tune in to find out, really.
But I do remember one thing. Well, that's everything? I guess?
I think so. And what a delight. Having a ball.
Okay, so half the time when I say our email address, I say .ca because we're Canadians, but it's .com. It's newfriendcinema@gmail.com. You can email us there. New Friend Cinema on Instagram, New Friend Cinema Facebook page. We've got a YouTube channel. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple
review.
Pods. Like, subscribe, review, please. That little extra thing.
Do it if you want.
Yeah, but if you liked it, if you like what you heard, it really helps us. It's what needs to be done. So we appreciate that. That's so
desperate.
Fucking desperate. I hate it. Never mind. I take it back. I don't even care. Do whatever you want.
Whatever.
Yeah, let us know. Did you like that? Do you love Secret Window? Do you think that the book is better than the movie?
Ooh, the classic question. Is the book better than the movie?
Yeah. Did you guess immediately that Mort was the killer, or were you also 12 when you watched it for the first time and had no idea?
Dakota.
Just imagining that. Anyway, I guess that's everything.
Signing off.
Stay corny.
Oh, that was great.
You like that?
That was my nickname. One of my nicknames growing up.
Corny?
Corny.
Corny,
my
Courtney?
sister struggled to say Courtney.
That's cute. Mine was Doka.
Doka?
Because my little sister couldn't say Dakota.
Aw, little
Doka.
sisters. Shout out to little sisters. Anyways, bye-bye.
Bye. Fuck.
Honestly, one of my favorite words. Fuck.
Fuck.
Because it can be like fuck or
Fuck.
or how you pronounce the U, the vowel.
Fuck.
Feck you. Just feck. Fuck. You're like innocent eyebrow, like fuck. Fuck. Ugh. Fuck me.
Oh, fuck.
The O-O. So it could be feck.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Fukenhorgan.
Fukenhorgan. Oh my god, I'm already mashing this banana.
See that? And that was organic.
Oh, fuck
yeah, it was just about the coffee.
Another word that I love to say, but it's special, and I think I've already told you about this, is like throwing out cunt is just so...
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's our word.
Poignant. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Also, Prob told me,